Welcome back to This Day in Irish History. I'm your host, Raymond Welsh. Before we dive into today's story, if you'd like to explore other significant events that happened on this day in Irish history, visit thisdayirishhistory.com. The link is in the episode description. Now, let's journey back to March 29th, 1933, when the streets of Dublin erupted into violence and fear during one of the most dramatic confrontations of Ireland's interwar years, the Riot and Siege of Connolly House. The early 1930s in Ireland were marked by economic hardship, political realignment, and social unrest. The country was still finding its feet after the turbulence of the Civil War, and the impact of the Great Depression deepened existing inequalities. Unemployment soared, particularly in urban areas like Dublin, and radical political ideas, once confined to the margins, began gaining traction among the working classes. The Revolutionary Workers' Groups, or RWG, were a small but vocal Marxist organization advocating for socialism, workers' rights, and the overthrow of capitalist structures. Connolly House, named after the socialist leader James Connolly, served as their headquarters on Great Strand Street, just north of the River Liffey. To many conservative Irish citizens, however, particularly those aligned with Catholic values and staunchly nationalist identities, communism represented an existential threat, not just to their faith, but to the social order itself. And in this moment of national anxiety, that fear found violent expression. On the night of March 29th, a crowd estimated in the hundreds descended upon Connolly House. Reports from the time described the mob as armed with stones, sticks, and iron bars. They were fueled not only by a deep suspicion of communist ideology, but also by a mix of rumors, anti-Soviet sentiment, and coordinated agitation. Some among the crowd were said to have ties to fascist groups, including the Blueshirts, a right-wing organization that had grown in prominence in the wake of the Civil War and was openly hostile to leftist movements. The mob smashed the windows of Connolly House, attempted to storm the building, and began a siege that lasted several days. Members of the RWG, some of whom were inside the building at the time, barricaded themselves in and defended the premises as best they could. They called for help, but support from the authorities was slow and uneven. For days, the area around Great Strand Street was a battleground. Projectiles flew, people were injured, and Dublin's streets rang with the sound of breaking glass and shouted slogans. The press coverage was sensational, and in many ways, it mirrored the ideological divide. While some newspapers condemned the violence, others seemed to applaud the attack as a necessary response to what they perceived as foreign extremism infiltrating Irish society. Politicians remained largely silent, wary of being seen as sympathetic either to leftist radicals or to violent right-wing mobs. The RWG was left isolated, and although they had a small but determined group of supporters, the events of March 1933 effectively shattered their public influence. Connolly House itself was eventually overrun and gutted. Its members were forced to flee or go underground, and the Revolutionary Workers' Groups, already a fringe organization, saw a sharp decline in their visibility. Many of their members would later join the newly formed Communist Party of Ireland, but the scars of the siege remained, both literally on the building and metaphorically on the Irish left. What makes the Siege of Connolly House particularly significant is how it laid bare the deep ideological divisions simmering beneath the surface of Irish society during this period. Ireland, while politically independent, remained culturally conservative and deeply influenced by Catholic social teaching. There was little room in the public square for radical leftist ideas, and those who attempted to organize around them faced not just political opposition, but physical danger. At the same time, the incident revealed a willingness among certain factions to use street violence to enforce ideological conformity, a chilling foreshadowing of the authoritarian undercurrents that would occasionally surface throughout 20th century Europe, including in Ireland. The fact that such a dramatic event could occur with minimal official intervention also raised troubling questions about the state's role in protecting civil liberties and political minorities. Today, the Siege of Connolly House is remembered as one of the most intense anti-communist episodes in Irish history. While it did not alter the course of the nation politically in any immediate or dramatic way, it stands as a powerful symbol of the fears, tensions, and repressions that marked Ireland's journey through the interwar years. It reminds us that freedom of expression and political diversity have not always been guaranteed, and that even in